And we're back on the Cheap Seats. Cameron Kurtz and Jake the Furniture Guy with us. We're going to go ahead and jump into college basketball. College basketball getting started, getting underway, and a lot of people want to talk Illini basketball. We take on Southern Illinois Carbondale tonight at the Assembly Hall. 7 o'clock is the start time for that game. A lot of people looking for a big season for Bruce Weber's Fighting Illini. What are your thoughts on that?
Big season. Very big season. They have some incoming freshmen that I think are some of the class of the freshmen in the entire NCAA. They've got size this year. They've got depth. There's not too many teams that can pull off a starting. I mean, it would be a freshman starting five, but they can pull them off the bench and insert them at any point in the game. And to be honest, those freshmen, if it was a normal year, or I shouldn't say it, if the NBA did not make the transition to where they had to be players in the NCAA or in some kind of thing after the graduating class for 1 year, there would be probably two of these guys that would have went straight to the NBA.
Yeah, there would have. So a lot of people have got the Illini on their plate this year to have a big season. That recruiting class that you were talking about, a lot of people focus on that. One of the key focuses on that is Head, Luther Head's younger brother coming in.
Yep, Head. He could be a monster by the time he's ready to go. By the time he's ready to leave Illinois, he can shoot it. He drives to the hole with reckless abandon. He's actually got a stronger jumper than what his brother was, which is unbelievable because everybody remembers Luther Head, especially his freshman and sophomore year before he hurt his knee, and he was unbelievable. I mean, he was a leaper. He became a three-point shooter, and he was always a very good defender. And then also you got Miles Leonard, who wow, 7 foot tall with the 11.5. Oh man, he will be fun to watch, especially with Tisdale. He's a good change-up though, because Tisdale has a real nice finesse game. Whereas Miles Leonard, he wants to pound it down low, and he pretty much you have to put 2 men on him. You don't have a choice to. And he has an unbelievable hook shot. He can use it right or left-handed, go to the lane either direction. He is a lot of fun to watch. He's just a ton of it. I believe by the time he's a sophomore or junior in college, he will probably be one of the top big men in the NCAA.
They are going to be fun to watch. And Jacob, kind of a two-part question here. This next one, it's a two-parter. You've got the two teams that were in the national championship last year with Duke and Butler. First part of the question is going to be, can Duke repeat? And then also, secondly, who is going to be the Butler this year? Take the first part of that. Can Duke repeat? Of course, it's always difficult for a team to repeat. Duke has done it in the past.
Well, Duke can, actually, unfortunately for me, because I'm a big hater of the Duke Blue Devils, but at the same time, they're very good. They've got the coach in place that can do it. Probably one of the best coaching minds that my generation has seen, to be honest, which, it's in college football, but let's face it, he's got it figured out. He's got recruiting figured out. He's got his program figured out, and they have never looked back. I mean, every year they're competing for the ACC title, and it seems like, I know it's not every year, but it seems like every year they're in the Sweet 16, if not the Final Four.
Oh, yeah, every single year, a lot of people, when they fill out your brackets, come March, everyone's always going to put Duke up toward the top. And whether or not you like Duke, if you're just a fan of college basketball, you have to admire everything that Coach K puts into his program. Second part of that question was, who's going to be the Butler this year? Everyone's going to be looking for a Butler. Everyone's going to be looking for that team to go in and upset the big dog.
Jeez, I'll be honest, usually I like to look around the league and watch teams like Wyoming and play teams like that. I'll be honest, this year I don't see it. The top 25 this year is tough. And they are strong teams. There's some teams that are in the top 20. I'm just going to say the top 20 right now. There's teams in the top 20 that you could legitimately say could be in the top 10. Mm-hmm. And pretty much all of them in that top 20 are that good to be in that top 10. It just so happens falling by numbers. This year, the Fighting Illini is in there, which is really surprising because the Big Ten is going to be, that is the conference this year in college basketball. They may have eight or 9 teams in the NCAA tournament. They're that strong.
I think that many go that deep into the tournament. So
Lincoln has the best coaching in the entire country.
Okay. I would probably agree with you to that. So ultimately, what you're saying is, unfortunately, there is no Butler.
There is no Butler this year. I'm throwing it out there. There is no Butler this year.
Okay, kind of a somber take on that. Unfortunately,
rest in peace.
Unfortunately, there isn't going to be a Butler this year. We would like to hope to think that we're wrong. That there are going to be smaller schools out there who can.
No, not with the Illini in the top 50.
All right, Jake's calling it right now. Illini fans, go ahead and put your picks in right now. You might as well go to Vegas, spend your child's college funds, spend that big, and put all of it in the Illini for winning it. Light it up. A man who is no stranger to competitive teams and scheduling competitive teams. We're fortunate enough to have with us my guest today, a former guest on the cheap seats, Lincoln High School Athletic Director, Mr. Sam Knox. Mr. Knox, thanks for being here with us. When you were my guest over the summer, we had a lot of things that we wanted to discuss. Didn't necessarily get to all those things. You were nice enough to agree to come on our show later on in the year, and it's good to have you back.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Good morning.
No problem. Probably a big question right off the bat. When the Railers start to begin their season this year, you got that Thanksgiving tournament every year. Let's go ahead and start with that, because that's probably going to be a lot of thing that's on a lot of people's minds this year.
Sure. It starts a week from this coming Monday. We host our first home games on November 22nd, and the tournament field this year is very similar to last year. The only change is that Morton High School replaces Rochester. Rochester was just a one-year team in the tournament, since they're a conference team now on our schedule anyway. But Morton will be in the tournament this year along with Centennial, Danville, Cahokia, and Belleville-Altoff. And the Railers tip off the season next Monday, November 22nd, against Altoff at 7:30.
All right. You know, it's been probably one of the bigger misconceptions of high school basketball that these holiday tournaments, especially toward the beginning of the season, can be, for lack of better terms, can be kind of a fluke. You have a lot of your larger schools like to bring in the smaller schools, trying to consider them an easy win. That hasn't been the case, though, the last couple of years with Lincoln's Thanksgiving tournament. One of the better tournaments and one of the more respected Thanksgiving tournaments in the state.
Well, we try. We try not to make it a cupcake schedule by any means. We try to make it as competitive as possible, and we feel this year's field is as competitive as it's been in a long time. Centennial, of course, has a state championship and another, I don't remember if they finished 3rd or 4th last year, but a couple recent state trophies in their pocket. Danville's going to be very good. Naturally, their football team is very good as well, so it remains to be seen how strong they'll be at Thanksgiving time, but we're counting on them to have a very good basketball team this year, too. Cahokia is always very athletic. We know that Morton is very tall and athletic from seeing them in the summertime, too. And Altoff was a super sectional team a few years ago. That's who Centennial beat Altoff, in fact, in the super sectional before they won their state finals. So we know this year's tournament will be very competitive as always, and it's a fun way to start the season.
And I also see that the Lady Railers on the girls' side, they've got a big tournament coming up. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. The Lady Railers actually open up the season before the boys. The Lady Railers are starting next Friday, November 19th, now at the Taylorville Thanksgiving tournament, and they will play Petersburg-Porto at 5 o'clock. And then they'll also play Saturday against O'Fallon at 5 o'clock. And they'll be down there at Taylorville the week of Thanksgiving as well.
You talk about Thanksgiving tournaments and just holiday tournaments collectively. What is it that makes for a quality holiday tournament? And what necessarily is it that makes for a good quality tournament when Lincoln is in it? If you're a hosting school, you would want Lincoln to be in your holiday tournament because of the good following that Lincoln brings with them. They always bring the strong followers and they bring the fans with them. What's one of the incentives for a holiday tournament?
Well, for the boys' side of the tournament, we do pay the schools some money to come to our tournament, knowing that they're going to bring fans with them, and we'll bring some gate receipts off of that. But also knowing that many of the teams will likely spend the night in Lincoln, and we want to accommodate them for travel purposes and fuel for their buses as well. But I know when we go to the Collinsville holiday tournament at Christmas time with the boys' team, we are paid a guarantee or a stipend to go down there as well to help cover our expenses. And every year you kind of negotiate with those folks on how much money you need to make it worthwhile to go down there. And the Collinsville AD told me a couple years ago that of the 16 teams they have in their tournament, or I guess the 15 beyond the host school, they pay Lincoln High School the most money simply because we bring the most fans down to their tournament.
Okay, and it was interesting, and that was going to lead into my next question that I had as far as the holiday tournaments, and you talk about the incentives that the schools have for being a visiting school of that. Is that something that kind of changes with the times and changes with administration? Lincoln was in the Collinsville tournament for years, got out of it. They were in holiday tournament, I believe, in Pontiac, at the State Farm Classic up in Bloomington, now we're back in the Collinsville tournament. Is that something that kind of changes? How does that really work?
Well, I believe the change was made, and it was made before my time here, but I believe it was made for financial reasons because when the team was up at the State Farm Classic in Normal, I guess Lincoln High School felt that they weren't being reimbursed enough money or whatever the case was. I don't know how to say it quite frankly, but Collinsville presented a great opportunity for us to go down there and a chance for the kids to get away and stay all night in a hotel a couple nights and do that kind of fun stuff too. And where, playing in Normal I think would be nice because everybody could travel back and forth and sleep in their own beds every night, but there's something to be said to get away a little bit, some team bonding issues, and going out to eat at hotels, or stay at hotels and eat at restaurants together as a team too.
And it's nice to bring that team uniformity to go. Mr. Knox, we're going to have to step aside, take a commercial break, and when we come back, we will discuss as far as scheduling, how an AD actually goes through scheduling events within a school. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.